Hello. For those that don't know me, my name's Michael Beggs. I was Conrad Lausier's first grandson. I made this tape that's coming up after my introduction of Conrad speaking about his own history and his family in January 2004. Found out a lot of interesting things, and he speaks for about an hour and 20 minutes on the recording. And I wanted to share this with everyone. In the tape, he talks as I always remember him being, and I thought everybody would want to share this memory. And I have to thank my wife Karen for urging me to get this done. It was, I think, the first tape that we had made after we first got our video camera, and I'll always be glad that I made it. And so anyway, I'll share it with you now. Here it is. There we go. There, now we're recording. Where were we?
So what happens now?
Oh, now we just keep on. Okay, so you were born in Madawaska, March 5th, 1919.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your father's name?
My father's name was Alex. You know, the French name is Alexis. You know, but it's Alex, actually, when they refer to him as Alex, you know. Lausier.
That's with an I-S, isn't it?
Huh?
Alex with an I-S.
Yeah. And
What was his middle name?
I have no idea. No idea.
Do you know when he was born?
No, I have no idea. I know I can't. But I know he died in 1922.
Do you know where he died?
At home. At home. It's operated on for, well, they wasn't operated on, but I mean, he had pleurisy. And what they did is put a thing through your back, and try to dissolve or whatever it is, They did. Now, of all those people right there, I was the only one that had pleurisy. It was operated on. And I told the doctor, I said, look, you're not giving me very good news now. I said, hell, I said, my father died in 1922 of pleurisy. Oh, well, we can do many things now and then, which is all right, But it's odd that the youngest one in the family was the only one that had that. The rest of them never had any problem that way. So it's funny,
Hmm. Now, okay, how about your mother? What was her full name?
My mother name was Julie Dionne, Dionne. It's a maiden name.
Okay. Do you know her middle name?
No, I really don't know. No.
Do you know? You must know her birthday, maybe.
Her birthday? Yes. Birthday was the 7th of February. I don't know what year, but so.
Do you know where she was born?
He was born in in Madawaska also. And the thing was, see, I mean, her in my mother's side, uh, her her father was married, I think, three times or four times. I don't know, three times, but so she was one of the and then I know that she was the one that uh, the wife died. She was in. They were in Madawaska, so died. I don't know whether after childbirth, but I mean I don't think it was only because of childbirth, but it's probably related. Let's put it that way.
What was his name? Do you know?
I have no idea at
No.
all. No problem. No, she only has. She only had one brother. One brother of with her from that marriage. See, hmm? And but then the other marriage they're the half brothers, and half sisters, and that, and he lived. That's where. That's where we get our longevity. He died. I know he was pretty close to 100 when he died. So, but you see, genes have a funny way of acting. In other words, like it didn't affect my brother, my mother, or her brother. First, but the next generation. See, now in the which would be us, and her brother David had a large family, and I know that one of the girls, she was pretty close to 100 when she died, so those two, I mean that longevity went through them, see, Now, my own brothers and sisters, they lived, well, one or two of them went in the 90s, and the other ones, they died at close to 90, 88, 89. Except Lucian, he died at 83, but problem with Lausier, he was working in the paper mill up there in Madawaska, see, and he was superintendent of maintenance, and he's tangled up with chemicals all the time, see, and that's what brought this, because all of a sudden, my gosh, all of a sudden he used to faint, no apparent reason, and they had no warning even, They finally, he went down to Boston, and they finally come up with a syndrome of some kind that they, I don't know what the hell it was, but he couldn't drive, for instance, because you never know when the hell you go, Because I went up to see him up there when he was in the Bangor House, Eastern Maine Medical Center, and the physical therapists, they were going to start this program. So I just happened to visit them on that day, and so she come over and she said, "Well, it was a guy. I guess." He says, "Do you have any warning at all?" "Oh no, no warning." So they sat him in a wheelchair, see, and they said he asked to me, he says, "Well, you follow me, you know, and so he just walked a few steps then, and he was gonna, you know, have him come up, you know, to him, you know, and he says, well, if he starts falling, you push the chair so we can get him in the chair, see, you know. Before you could count to 20, down he went. You know, we just got him in the chair, and then yeah. So they finally found out what the problem was, and they treated it. And it was all right then after that. I mean, I think he was taking medication, but he wasn't no problem. So that's the way it is, you know. You want your picture taken, Bailey? Huh? Come on over.
Do you know when your parents were married?
Huh?
Do you know when your parents were married?
When they were married? I have no idea what that date was. And, but you want to remember see, the Lausier family. Oh, you did it. No, you can't. Yes, you did this, can you? Oh, you did this, can. The Lausier family comes from Roy's.
Right.
Roy. And they went from Roy to Desjardins and Lausier. Now, the reason for that is this. In Canada or in France, these people would change their name for no apparent reason. They had to, you know, it was the common thing, you know. Didn't like the way it was. They'd go for, they call it the Dit family and the Dit things. They would, you know. And
It's French.
change the name. Change the name, yeah.
Lausier de Roy.
Yeah. So the Roy family, they at a reunion a few years ago, all the Roys and all the descendants, you know, the Lausiers and the Jardins and all them, you know, and so that you know, it's an odd thing, but that's the way they did, you know, did that.
So, all right, what are give me the names of like your brothers and sisters.
Name of my brothers and sisters? Okay. Let's go the sisters first.
Okay.
Agnes. Ida.
All right.
Helen. Arthurine. A-R-T-H-E, I guess. L-I-N-E.
An unusual name.
Catherine. And Mary Luce. That's Catherine and Mary Luce are the two sisters, you know. Now
Is that like spelled like Marie?
Huh?
Spelled like Marie? Mary Luce or with a
no.
Y?
Well, you know, Mary Luce, it's just like, you know, John Paul, you know, that type thing. See, you add on the name, you know, Mary Luce. Okay. And then the brothers, Teddy, T-H-A-D-D-Y, I.E. Camille, Edmund, Lucian, and myself.
It's a good big tribe. Now, do you remember the names of any of the babies that died, or?
No, I know
Well,
that
you were the youngest.
genealogy, it's all, they got all those names, but Joanne's got the book. She took the book down the last time she saw it.
Well, you were the youngest, so that would be.
Huh?
You were the youngest, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
So that would be difficult for you to remember.
That's right.
That's understandable.
So, but you know, you just think, you know, you don't think of me as, well, I'm old, but that, now, okay, when World War I was signed, the armistice was signed in 1918, my mother was already pregnant with 3 months, you know, she was already carrying me, because I was born in March the 5th, 1919, see, which was, you know, right after, you know, you wouldn't think of me, you know, as conceived in World War One, you know. Yeah.
Now, was her husband in the war?
Huh?
Her husband, your father, was he a soldier in the war?
No. But they claim that my grandfather, Alexei, father, okay, I think he was in Civil War.
Probably on the Union side.
Huh?
He was probably on the Union side.
Oh yes, it was up here in Maine, so. Yeah. So,
Now, your sisters, did all of them marry, the ones that weren't nuns?
well, except the nuns, yeah. They're all married. Married different women.
Now, do you remember their married names?
Oh, yeah. Agnes, of course, her name was Lagasse, the same as Emerald, you know, Lagasse, you know.
Nope, don't know him.
And Ida, she, Beaulieu, Eaulieu. Helen, Russell. She married twice, who had Shanks and then Russell. And Arthur Lane, her name was Chasse, Chasse. And I got them all, didn't I?
Yeah, and then obviously Catherine
And then
Marie Luce
the
never
two nuns,
married.
you know?
Now, did they go in the convent fairly young?
Huh?
Did they go in the convent fairly young?
Did they?
When they joined, they were
Oh
young?
yes, they were just, well, they had a convent in Santa Agata, in the town, and they had a boarding school, see. They went over to help, you know, with waiting on tables and all that stuff, and then they decided to join the organizations. Because,
you probably don't remember all the birthdays. And
Huh?
You probably don't remember all the birthdays and stuff. You were the youngest, I mean.
Well, not only that, the only ones I remember is my brother Edmund, and because you see, when my mother died, Edmund kind of looked after me until I got old enough to care for myself. So, because Lucian had gone down to Danforth and was graduated from Danforth in high school and then went to normal school, you know, that thing. So I wasn't that close to Lucian because, you know, he left the family when reasonably early because he went for high school, see, and so that's the way it is. And Edmund was working in the CCCs, and then he went from there to cook in Calais. He was cooking, and then decided to go for the priesthood, and then he went to seminary and all that.
Now, where did he study?
Well, the most part, Nicolette, he started over there in Canada, and then they have new, you know, their own seminaries. So what the hell? I can't remember the names of them, but that's where he started, Nicolette. Then he went from there to the. After he was ordained, he went to. He put in charge of their thing in the Indian reservation out of Vancouver, Ireland, you know, British Columbia, because he had experience in managing, whereas the young priests being ordained, they're just young, sometimes 22 years old, they'd never had to, you know, do anything but study, you know, that. But where he, you know, he was a cook and he was, you know, he did some managing, you know, so they gave him a job, and then they, all of a sudden the Pope decided to say, open up an area out there in Papua, so they sent him over there to take over, you know, so that's a hell of a mess, you know. So, that's the way it is. I don't know.
So he basically spent the rest of his career in Papua after that, I imagine.
Well, most of his career was in Papua, actually. And then when he came back from there, he went for, he went more or less as a helping priest. You know, he was getting old then, in a parish out in Ontario. And then he came to Drummondville, which has, they have a place like St. Paul's, you know, St. Paul's retreat house over there in Augusta, you know, where people go there for a retreat, yeah.
That's
Well, he worked in an area like that.
3 blocks down from my dad's house.
Huh?
St. Paul's in Augusta.
Yeah?
My dad is 3 blocks
Yeah.
up the street. Yeah,
Well,
right up there.
and then he came to in Drummondville, they have a place similar to St. Paul's, you know, where people, the groups, they go for a retreat for a month or something, or whatever it is, you know.
I'll have to bring the scanner up and scan all these pictures in. My mom's got a huge box full too.
See, he was ordained at 36 years old, and he remained a priest for over 52 years.
So he never married before he.
No.
No.
That's the way it is.
I guess they do allow that, don't they?
Huh?
They do allow priests to be married if they get married first and then.
I don't know
Go in,
whether
don't
that
they?
ever occurred. Yes, they do in a sense because they have people that you know raise a family and that stuff, and then the wife dies, and sometimes the guy goes in for priesthood. You know, it happens once in a while. You know.
Yep.
But you see, the Catholic Church is more than one. You know, there's a they have more rites, what they call the rite. You know, the Byzantine rite is also Catholic, but the priests there get married. They marry, no problem. You know, and so because they come Byzantine rite and those other rites that from the East,
Right.
they come from the Orthodox. See, you know, when the Orthodox separated with with Rome, then some of them they wouldn't stay with the Orthodox. They wanted to go with Rome, so they stayed with their ritual where they were and all of it. See, you know, so they're still. You know, so it's a complicated thing, you know. But the hell, you know.
Yeah, the Holy Roman Empire and
Yeah, that's
it's like
right.
branches, I guess. I know the Episcopalians can marry, I guess. I believe I've heard that.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to. Depends in history. She can be interpreted by different groups, you know, but to mean different things. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Sometimes they emphasize one thing, and the other group won't mention that thing at all. But to them, it's the interest is somewhere else. You know what I mean? So, have all kinds of things. So I don't know.
So, what about yourself? What did you do for a living once you were out of school and that type of thing?
Well, you know, we used to pick potatoes and that bit, but I mean, just the something that happens up in Lausier County anyway. You know what the hell? When when they start digging potatoes, somebody's got to pick them. You know, but now they got harvesters that they do that. But you know, when I was a kid, so that's why we made our money for winter. In other words, buy winter clothes and that stuff. You know what I mean? That's no problem. None of that. But the first job that I ever got that way was, see, my brother Camille and Teddy, they were.
Yeah, it's on.
They worked on the railroad. See? Now, Teddy and Camille worked on the railroad for 40 years. And at that time, after so many years, I don't know, 30 years or something, they'd get what they call the golden pass for them and their wives, see? And you could travel all over the country and and it wouldn't cost you nothing, see? And they both had their golden pass, but that didn't come in, okay? And then Agnes' husband was also railroad, see? So it's kind of inclined to the railroad. Well, railroad, Bangor and the Rooster, they did work in the summertime, you know, groups, you know. They had a steel gang and a you know, gravel train gang, you know. In other words, some places they'd have to lift the track 5-6 inches or something, and straighten it out. So every summer, when I was old enough to work, we'd go down there. They had we were in an ordinary boxcar, but they were all fixed up so that you had the beds in there and the whole bit, and we'd go from place to place to work, I enjoyed that. I was in the group, and because of my brothers working for the railroad, I could get in. They're kind of clannish in a way, but so I get in now with them, and all right. I enjoyed that, like hell. And when I come down to Danforth, but then the railroad was going for me, but then I got married and did odd job work for farmers, and I helped a painter all one summer. We did a pretty good job, and I didn't do that much. Didn't work in the woods hardly any, work in the store and help somebody in the stores and all that. So what the hell? Then I moved down to Biddeford, because Ida and her husband lived down to Biddeford. I went down to, and got a job down there, and then the war broke out, and I went and worked in the shipyard, and that's where I worked in the shipyard with your grandfather, Beggs, He worked in the same area, and
You knew him?
Huh?
You knew him then?
the what?
Did you know him at the time?
Well, yes, I was aware of him, that, and they, now it was funny that I lived from Biddeford and moved over to Red Bank, which is from Portland, so you could travel by bus down to the shipyard, and now your grandfather Beggs and his wife, your grandmother, lived up just a little ways from. They had another project over there in Long Creek, and they had that's where they lived. And they'd travel. They'd come down to the store down there to Red Bank. She used to come down there with Joe in the carriage, and we were over there, and she went right by Julie, which was just a little kid, That's funny how that, after years and years.
Okay, I never knew that.
No,
That's
we never knew
interesting.
that. No. So, yeah, that was funny. Because when I first met your grandfather and we were talking about it, she said, "Yeah, I know. We used to get by there and go down to the store, down the Red Bank, and we'd never think that that we'd go by with Joe would meet his wife there. She was just a little kid, just like him, That's funny how it goes. Things happen,
Yeah, it is. Now, how did you meet Marguerite?
Huh?
How did you meet Marguerite?
Oh, she was in school.
In school?
We were in the same class. Yeah. Well, so when she graduated from high school, she didn't know what she was going to do, and I didn't know what I was going to do either. So we decided to get married. To hell with it.
Now, were you both in the same class, same
Yep,
year?
yep.
What year did you graduate?
1940.
So, was that Danforth High?
Danforth High School, yeah. They changed the thing now to the Green, East Grand, because of the they combine towns now and that.
But
So
back then it was just called Danforth High School. back then it was just called Danforth High School.
That's right. 1940. And we have a strong alumni association, see. And I went they have a banquet every year, you know, after the graduation, see. And your mother and I and Joanne and we went. I went for my 60th year. See, when it came to 00, you know, it was 60 years for me, you know. And there was 6 of us from the class, but we had around 30 in the class, but some of them, of course, gone. See, lost some during the war, and you know that thing.
She wants to know what you did on your first date.
Well, do I do what?
What did you do on your first date?
The first date? Well, it was a gradual thing, you know. We'd have kind of like socials in school, and we'd kind of get together. And we had an orchestra. I played in the orchestra, see, so that kind of, you know, so, that's it. You know, walk her home, you know, that type thing. But, kiss her good night, not bad.
Uh-huh.
That goes with it.
Speak up.
No.
Oh, now how about when you proposed marriage?
Huh?
What about when you proposed marriage?
Well,
You must remember the day.
it was an odd thing in a sense. We were in a kind of a group. They had, I can't remember what the occasion was, but they had a place there where they called a park, where they used to have race horses, you know, that. And they had something like a cookout or something. We went out there, and that's just about the time after we graduated, something like that. We decided, well, you know, a good idea to get married, I guess, because Marguerite lost her father when she was little, and she missed her father all the days of her life, and her mother married again, see, and she didn't care for the stepfather, you know, that bit, you know. He's one of these old style, you know, and she used to work for people that had a big home there, and they'd help them, you know, make the beds and that stuff, and then she'd go home and that bit. But she was kind of, she didn't stay that all the time at home, because her mother was right there anyway, see, and she'd help over here to the Pullmans, well-to-do people, you know, what the hell. So she kind of, and with school being over, something had to happen. She didn't know what the hell was going to happen, so, you know. I think she was kind of, glad that, you know, we did come together and say, because I was in the same boat in a sense. I was all done. I had no place to go, you know, no home. My mother was gone. All I had was brothers and sisters, and they all had big families, and they, you know what I mean. So, you know, it's funny how I think. And then they see, of course, there was also the religious part of it. See, I was the only Catholic boy that you know, there was a couple other boys that were Catholic, but they were all, you know, from other groups or whatever so she, she wanted to, she didn't want to, Danforth was an odd town in a sense, They had, I think, 4 or 5 Protestant church, different ones, and the Catholic church. So the feeling was very, it wasn't as normal as it is today. You know what I mean? And it had quite a lot of prejudice, between one and the other. So, and of course her mother was Catholic. So what the hell, she. So I think her mother was relieved that she was going to marry, But you don't think of those things, but when it's happening, but you can think about them later on, when. But we had no money. What the hell, and we got married, and we went on a honeymoon.
No.
Camping out in over there, Danforth, the Hudbrook Lake, the nice lake, and there's no cottages there at the thoroughfare where the 2 lakes come together. God, nice place. So we had a beautiful big tent and had it all set there. We stayed there for a week, Had a hell of a good time,
Yeah.
No money involved, hardly, and no problem. And we go fishing, catch a fish, and fry it, and we had a good time, and my sister came down. We went fishing one afternoon, and we had visitors. I mean, a couple from my classmates come over there one day, and spent the day with us for a while, and we had a good time. So it's something that I've never had too much problem with, Well, I only wish I had something to eat for you.
Oh, it's not
We
important.
Huh?
Yeah, we ate before we came up.
Oh, that's
This is interesting stuff, though.
That's okay. Because, if I'd known that you were going to come in, I'd had something, what the hell.
So you have a marriage. Any information?
Oh, yeah. What date were you married?
What date we get married? August the 26th, 1940. See, we graduated from high school in June, and we got married in August.
And you were married in Danforth?
Yeah. St. Anne's.
I imagine that's the only
Yeah. That's right.
Catholic church.
Well, they come in that area. They came from 2 or 3 different towns. It's all a mine. It's all it was a farming area anyway. So they come from different towns to go to the church.
She died right here in this house. When did she die, Marguerite?
She died April the 19th, 1988. Patriots Day.
Patriots Day.
April the 19th. And
Yeah, I knew it was in the late '80s, but you don't remember
Paul
dates.
Revere ran that, on that day. Yeah, you came over here, the day or 2 before she died.
Yes.
stayed over with him one night. They were sleeping out in the back room. Man. So, but she was herself till she died. That night she died, I had the, fold away bed in the room now. So, I had a hospital bed, and I went over and get her ready for bed, and I say, kissed her good night, and I said, well, I'll go to sleep. When I get up, then I'll come over and see you. So about 1 o'clock, I woke up, went over to see how she's doing. She was gone. I called 911. They come over and they pronounced her dead, and then of course the police were with them too. See, so they contacted the doctor, her doctor. See, he said no problem. I take care of the whole thing. So they were expecting her to die. Your mother was, told me a week before she was going to die. But
You did the right thing keeping her home here.
huh?
I think that you did the right thing keeping her here.
Oh yes, sure. Why not? Why not?
You only would have prolonged things in the hospital.
Because if we needed, well, if I needed anything, I mean, your mother was over here to find out. She'd come over, take off, and she would over here and come over. Because I remember one time she was sleeping, and she felt a little clammish, that bad. So I called your mother, and she came over, and she said, well, she give her some orange juice or sugar or something to bring her back out of the. So I was fortunate that way. See, I didn't have no problem that way. And then, of course, Evangeline was up here to Wilton, see, which is all right too. See, I need, because Evangeline come up and set up the thing for the, for her to keep her home, and so it was all right that way. I don't know.
Yeah, so you had 48 years together.
Huh?
So you had 48 years together.
Well, yeah, sure. And, well, I'll tell you. When you boiled it right down, okay? Marguerite and I raised a family. Had 9 kids. They're all grown up. They're gone, But the thing is, it's quite a thing, when you start to think about it, but raise a big family, They're all doing well, but, very good.
Most of them are still in Maine, too.
Well, most of them were very good students, for one thing, because Marguerite was very smart. God, she was, outstanding, But when we graduated, there was no money to go to school. The only people that went to college were well-to-do people, that's all.
Yeah.
The ordinary person never went to college. Once in a great while you'd hear about one working his way through, but God, everybody showed up, and the kids, you know, I see when, to give you an example, okay? We had Danforth Small School, okay? Applied over to University of Rhode Island. If you want to take pharmacy, okay? They looked at the record and the scores, you know, and all of that. They gave her a course. Of course, the need was there because we had, you know, 8 kids besides her, you know. You know, so they gave her a scholarship that paid for her room and board for 5 years. That's a lot of dough. Now I said to myself, well, hell, now under the terms of the universities, the New England University, they swap programs. In other words, a kid from Maine can go to Rhode Island or Connecticut and take pharmacy and only pay resident rates. But a kid from Connecticut can come up here and take forestry at the same thing. See, you know what I mean? They swap some of those things. See, and then I said to myself, well, he calls it probably tuition. There was no tuition. They had a fee of $175 a semester. That's all. She got her education for practically nothing, you know. Then she graduated the first in her class and the second highest in the whole university that year. So then she had her pick of fellowship if she wanted to continue her education for nothing, you know. So she got all her expenses. She went through got her PhD, and then started teaching, and you know that went through. So you know that. Now Julie wanted to go be a nurse. She was down to Mercy. The Oddfellows and Rebecca's paid for the tuition. And Joe, Joe was kind of a disappointment in a way, but you know, it's not something that happens anyway. Got him an appointment at Naval Academy, but he didn't care for it, you know. He stayed less than just about 1 semester, and the hazing was so rough that he says, to hell with that. He was already in the Army, see, so he went back in the Army, and then he went to OCS and got a commission just the same. And Suki, he went to the, you know, the Army. He was going to go in the Army for 20 years, you know. But last enlistment, they wouldn't take him. He was overweight. By gosh, they wouldn't take him. So he come out, and he finished his time in the reserves. But the only problem that he has with that is that he has to wait till he's 60 before he gets his pension. That's all. And
Yeah, I remember when he first came out of the Army, he had a hard time finding work.
that's right. That's right.
It was a hard transition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So now David, we had. Well, I tell you, David was going to go places in the State Department. Yeah. He was a food stamp worker, okay? And he went from there to you know, I can't remember what they call them, but the one that quality control. Okay, he had the best job in the world. Quality control, they give him about maybe 7 or 8 cases a month. And he had to take those cases and go right through to make sure that everything that was on the application was the way it was. And whether or not the worker had given the guy the right amount and all that bit, see, quality. So you hear of the error rate. Well, that's what determines if you make an error, that's okay. They'd given those cases, and sometimes he'd get it done in 10 days, okay? The rest of the month, got his pay just the same. They paid his telephone bill, stayed at home, he had no problem, Those would be returned to the state, and that's it. So that was a good job. See, well, I'll be a son of a gun. When he got sick, he was reasonably sure to go up one higher, be supervisor for the whole state. Oh, that's funny how it is, Then he died. But it's an all minus, see. While he was working at that, for so many years there, quite a few years, he was accumulating sick leaves all the time. He wasn't sick, he was home. So he didn't have to do any sick time because he had plenty of, So anyway, and he had a lot of vacation time also. So when he got sick, the money came in just the same, So there was no problem there. See, of course he was getting his medical care for nothing anyway. But I meant by that is so he's all right, So you see, and then main retirement is about the best that you can get in a sense, But now when he died, the state told, the retirement system, they notified Marcia, he's got a little over $10,000 in the retirement system. She could draw it out, see, she could have it if she wanted to, or she could get the survivor's benefit, but survivor's benefit was only $150 a month. God, So she was kind of, she thought she was going to take the $10,000, but as luck would have it, I was quite active in the Maine State Employees Association. I was on committee with the guy that was second in command with the retirement, see? He knew all the ins and outs of the retirement. See? So I called him up and said, "Well, what the hell?" He said, "That's nowhere to go." So he called me back in about an hour, and he said, "Look, don't tell her, for God's sake, now to take the $10,000, because he's got his insurance she's going to get right off, and it's going to be around $75,000. See, so and so then when she realized she was going to have some insurance, there's that much. It says, okay. So then they wanted to get rid of the 10,000, but they didn't want to give her, you know, survivor's benefit, you know, if she'd have taken the 10,000, see. But it's only $150. Wow. So he says to me, he says, tell her to go to a banker and ask him, at her age, how much is $150 worth a month? How much is it worth? You'd be surprised at the result, you know, because they got the figures there, you know. So she decided to take the 150. Less than 2 years, a year later, they upped it to $300 a month, okay? Instead of 150. And then a year after that or two, they put the cost of living. Right now, I think she's getting about $335, $40, something like that. Every month it comes in, the rest of her life. It's a lot of money, see?
A lot more than 10 grand.
Huh?
A lot more than 10 grand.
Yeah, and just the same with me. He gave me good advice, you know. When Margaret got her heart attack and she was sick and all of it, he said, you don't, you know, get ready to retire. And he said, well, the things that you do and the things that you don't want to do, see, you know. When you take retirement, get full benefits for yourself. If you die, her benefit, her benefit she's getting right now, she'll get it anyway. See, no, it wouldn't get that much more from you. But the other way around, if she dies, then you'll get hers. Whereas, see what they tried to do when one of them dies and the other one is an employee. They try to get they got different programs that you can join, you know. Well, you can give your wife or husband half of your pension, see, you know, if you go, you know, and that's so he said no. So I thank God every day that he counsels me correctly. He said, you know, if you don't worry, if she dies, and when she dies, and the chances are she probably will die before you do, then you'll get her full pension instead of hers, you know. Only, and I couldn't figure out why in hell this program was so good, you know, what the hell. The minute I retired, I was assured of my health care for the rest of my life for nothing. That's quite an item,
It is.
you know. Well, then I discovered where, why. The legislators are part of this program. So they're not going to cut their throat, I tell you that. See?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, those some of the things that you don't realize are going on, you know, but that's
Is it still running? Yep.
you're all used up now?
Oh, no, it's still going.
Huh?
Still recording.
Almost done?
I'm not sure.
Huh?
I think we got more time.
So anyway, so that's the way it is, you know. But when I was working, I hadn't thought of retirement, you know. I mean, you don't think somebody else is doing the thinking, which was all right for me. Take Social Security is all right, but you know, it's tricky. Social Security is very tricky. The least little thing you don't qualify. The least little thing you don't qualify for this or that. You know.
So, what can you tell me about your in-laws?
Huh?
What can you tell me about Marguerite's parents?
Margaret's parents? No, okay. Well, Walter Cropley was a World War One soldier. After the war, he was sent to Germany with the Army of Occupation. And he married the girl from there by the name of Anna Earhart.
Now, were they married in Germany?
Yeah. Well, I know they went through had to get married by the where they went to church, got married, and then had to go for the civil authorities to do also. And then she came came back, and when he came home, she come also and went to Ellis Island there for a few days or whatever it is, and then they come up to Danforth. That was it, you know. And he I don't know. They had 5 aunts: Marguerite, Charlotte, Helen, Albie, and 5 children. Then he died. He's working on the road, he had that job of, you know, the guys that they patrolled the road, you know, they worked on the road they just, what, you know, sometimes just 1 or 2 people that they do the little odd jobs here and there, you know, all summer and other one and that bit. And so I don't know what he died of, but he died.
Now, who were the other 2 children?
The other, well, her older brother was Charles and Cropley, and then Charlotte and Helen and Albion. Now, out of the whole group there, Albion's the only one that's alive now.
That's an odd name, Albion.
Albion, yeah.
Yeah, I know that this stuff is all in a book somewhere, but
That's
the
all right.
information in
That's
your
okay. I mean,
head is not.
Yeah.
This is interesting stuff. You know, someday if you're not around, we can show. Someday when you're not around anymore, we can show Zachary this tape.
Sure, that's right.
You
That's
know,
right. That's right.
he might be interested in it. I know we've got an audio tape of Grammy somewhere.
Yeah.
Telling some of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, because I think that they have one. I don't know if those from North Carolina, they've got one there too that she shows up, and when they were up here in Wilton, see.
Yeah, I'd like to get a hold of those and put them on computer and make some CDs. You know, some copies.
Yeah,
I'd like to get a hold of those tapes sometime
yeah.
and make some copies
Yeah,
on the
that's right.
computer
Yeah, that's,
and
yeah,
make
that's a good idea.
CDs because the tapes
Yeah.
will wear out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that sometime.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. Well, you take my, I have time to think all kinds of stuff, but but thinking back, uh, the how my mother got along. They had no mother's aid or anything in that at that time. Well, of course, she had a big garden and a cow and a pig, and they would she'd cut seed the first thing in the spring. Cut seed, planted potatoes, see, cut seed for quite a while there, and then after that there was an area there where wasn't very much going on, but after the cut the seed, then her garden that was very important because it's that's the time to plant and all that bit, and she had a big garden every year, and as luck would have it, in a sense that now hay for the cows, see. You'd think, well, hell, a widow can't go out there and make, the hay with the sunshine and no field, Well, see, my oldest brother, lived almost next door, across the track over on the one side. Anyway, he worked on the railroad, and at that time, they had to go to work and cut all the hay on the, in other words, keep the right of way all cleaned up. So in the summertime, they'd cut, there was not much to do around the railroad, everything was all right. So, and then they'd had to cut they'd make the, for miles, see. In some places they had some nice hay, see. But he had a cow too, see. And he'd cut the hay, and then we'd go out and help him. He had a horse, and we'd go to on the weekend or something, go over to get the hay, see. Sometimes maybe 2-3 miles up, the road. In those areas on the railroad where you got a nice lot of hay, and then all of a sudden it's rock in that bit, but we got the hay from there, see. And then in the summertime, she'd help sometimes go out and help take care of her a woman to have a baby for 2-3 days, whatever it is, in town usually, so she'd walk over to where get paid, I don't know how much or what the hell. But the thing that she's tickled when Roosevelt went in because WPA, okay, all of it, they had all kinds of construction work, the men, they worked on the road, they did some road work and some other stuff, and women had a group up there in our town, they'd send from the city somewhere, I don't know just where, they'd send some clothes already cut, you know, for shirts and pants and that stuff for kids, you know, especially for kids, you know, teenagers and that bit. And they would sew them there and then send them back, see? They'd give them out to, you know, to people. And of course they paid her. She was tickled to death. I remember she got her first check. She couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? You know, it's something that I'll remember. You know. And then it started affecting everybody else. You know, all of a sudden, CCCs. Your Uncle Edmund went. You know, he had already worked on the railroad like I did. You know, on the gravel train, but he went in as a cookee, and the second cook there quit. So the cook says, "Why the hell take that job? What the hell? You can do it. I'll help you and all that bits." He showed him how to cook, you know. So when he went in the CCCs, the army officer that was in charge there said, you know, when all the group come in, he said, "Any of you people know anything about cooking?" He said, "Well," so he lifted his hand. So all of a sudden he was in charge of the cooking. You know, there were all kinds of young fellas there. So they did. Then when they closed the project there in Princeton, he went to cook down there at Callis in the restaurant for quite a few years. And myself, helping the teachers, you know, after school to fix the blackboard and all that stuff. I was a NYA, you know, I got a little check every month, you know. God, you know, something that was unheard of before then, you know. All kinds of stuff. Funny.
Yeah, that was hard times back then.
But I think of those things back because, you know, I don't know. But you know, the way things are going now, Mike, they don't stop this Bush, my gosh, he's going to ruin this country financially. At least a little thing, $billions dumped here for that, and God. And he's got a hell of a big deficit now, see?
The highest ever, 473 billion last year. That's big money. The national debt's already over $6 trillion.
Yeah.
That's more money than exists. Think of that. I worry about what's going to happen when I'm retirement age in 2033. Social Security's going to be broke the way it's
Now he
going.
come up with the Lulu the other day, a day or two ago. Oh yeah, you want to send somebody back on the moon, that stuff. You know, what the hell for? They've been there and there's nothing there, so what the hell do you want to do that for, you know? I can understand if everything was nothing going on, I could understand it, you know what I mean? They won't do that, but they've been there and they know what there is and there isn't. So, as far as Mars is concerned, they could send somebody up there, but they can't bring him back. You know that you know they're not they'll have to figure out some way how to do it. You know, so if they do, but then it's so cold down there, you couldn't live there anyway. So what the hell?
You'd have to build yourself a big dome and have a big garden in it and ship in everything you need to get started.
Well, I tell you, I suspect that in time, and sometime at some point, I think the planets are gonna, one of them gonna get out of kilter and throw the whole damn thing all, you know, all of a sudden, my gosh, the Earth may be, so damn cold you won't be, I mean, nobody will survive.
Hopefully not in my lifetime.
Because, see, I think there's been quite a change when you come right down and think about it. And the Earth here, but the minute the dinosaurs and them died, there was some reason for it, because they should have continued, something happened.
An asteroid
I don't know,
hit the Earth.
you know,
That's what they figure.
whatever happened can happen again, something.
Sure could.
Oh well, that's life, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely worry about the future, the way things are going.
Well, of course, I don't have to worry too much. I ain't got that much of a future anyway. So what the hell, I don't think I'll ever live to be 100. I don't think so. Although I'm doing all right. I'm going to be 85 in March.
It's certainly possible that
I
you could.
never thought I'd live this old myself. Because, but of course,
What would you have done different if you knew?
huh?
What would you have done different if you knew that you would live this old?
I don't think I would have changed much of anything too much difference, no. Well, I don't know. Well, it isn't going to be so cold tonight. It's going to be better, which is good.
It's supposed to be real cold later on this week.
Well, we're going to have some snow, though, a little bit, I guess. They said 1 inch for tomorrow. Maybe.
One tonight, one tomorrow.
Is it all done?
Oh no, still running.
Huh?
I think it's still running. Yep, still running.
Huh?
I think it goes 2 hours, something like that.
It's all done now?
No, it's still going.
Huh?
Does he want you to pick it up?
Yeah, we can shut it off. I think we're done for now. That is nice work. This is a picture of the old Lausier house in Danforth, Maine, I believe, as it looks now.